Hi everyone, thanks for watching my video. We're going to do a tutorial tonight on the A320 Neo, one of the default planes in the 2020 sim. And we're going to go from Chicago to Grand Rapids, and it's a very short flight. Little hop across Lake Michigan, little piece of Lake Michigan, and it's going to be an IFR flight, so we're going to go ahead and get right to it. So we're going to take off from runway 28 right, and let's get that set up here. We're not going to take off from the runway. We're going to go cold and dark from the gate 15. So let's get started. There's a lot of stuff in this video that I'm going to show you that nobody may have not have taken the time to show you. So hopefully you'll learn a few things that you don't already know. So let's get outside and see what everything looks like out there. See what the weather looks like. Go. Okay, first thing we're going to do is hook up the external power. We're going to turn on some lights. And we are going to get some passengers on the plane. So let's see here.
Ground Airbus Alpha Sierra X-Ray 320. Could you please connect the jetway to the aircraft?
Airbus Alpha Sierra X-Ray 320, the jetway is going to be connected.
Ground Airbus Alpha Sierra X-Ray 320, could you please send the baggage?
Airbus Alpha Sierra X-Ray 320 baggage is on the way.
Ground Airbus Alpha Sierra X-Ray 320, could you please send the catering truck?
Airbus Alpha Sierra X-Ray 320, the catering truck is on the road.
Okay, and while this is going on, we're going to go ahead and program a simple flight, IFR flight, from Chicago to Grand Rapids. So let's get inside the plane and we'll go ahead and get started on that right now. Alright, the only two screens that we need to worry about is the init screen and the flight plan screen. That's all we're going to work with. So the init screen, we use that first. This is we got to tell the computer where we're starting from and where we're going. So we're going to start at KORD, and we're going to let's see, where are we going to in Grand Rapids. We are going to KGRR. KGRR. And we click on top here, and it'll carry that information up top there in just a moment. Hit the return button, and there it is right there. Now we're going to go into the flight plan screen. We got to tell the computer what runway we're taking off from. So departure. And we are taking off from runway, let's see, 28 right. So we're going to hit the up arrow key here until we can get to 28 right. 27 right, 28 left, center, 28 right, there it is. So we'll click on there and then hit the insert button here, and that's all set. And now our destination, we're going to click on our destination right up here. You don't use this one down here, use the one up here. We'll click on click on the arrival, and we are going to, I believe we're flying into runway 26 left. So there it is right there. We'll click on that, insert, give this a few seconds to populate the changes here. And there we go. Now we're all set. So it's time to turn on the power inside and start the APU. We're going to do that right now. So turn on the battery and turn on all the fuel pumps. Turn on the APU bleed, master switch, wait 3 seconds before you hit the start. There we go. Let's put our seatbelt signs. No smoking signs on. And we're going to go. And we're going to be pushing back here in just a second. As soon as the APU starts.
Ground Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray 320 requesting pushback.
Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray 320 pushback request accepted.
So we'll be off and running here shortly. There we go, sorry about that. Okay, let's go ahead and start up engine number 1 now. Okay, let's turn this starter switch on. Engine 1, fire that up. Get that one going. So for that fuel truck there.
Ground Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray 320 requesting the end of pushback.
Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray 320 request to end pushback received.
Ground Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray 320 ready to taxi straight out departure with India.
Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray 320 taxi to and hold short of runway 28 right via taxiway Victor 5 Victor Yankee. Contact tower on 133.0 when ready.
Alright,
Taxi
28
to
right.
and hold short runway 28 right using taxiway Victor 5 Victor Yankee Airbus 320.
Alright, let's start engine number 2. once engine 2 gets full power, then we're going to go ahead and configure the plane for takeoff and head on down the taxiway. Alright, there we go. Turn off the starter switch. Go back in. Turn off the APU. We don't need that anymore. And now we're going to set our altitude to 10,000. Take off. And heading is going to be managed by the flight computer, as is the speed. So we're going to leave those alone for right now. So all that stuff, this is a really easy plane to fly. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and set our speed brake. Here's our weather radar. It's set to on, but when you first get in the plane, turn it off and then turn it back on. Otherwise it won't work. Not in this plane. So we got that done. We're going to go flaps, take off. There we go. And then we're going to put our speed brake on. Our auto brake. We already set our speed brakes. The auto brake is on, and we are ready to roll. So let's be on our way. Release the parking brake, and head on out to the runway. So we are here already.
Tower Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray tree 20 at runway 28 right, ready for departure, departing straight out.
Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray tree 20 altimeter 29er decimal 851184 at tree 0. Departing straight out approved. Cleared for takeoff runway 28 right.
Alright, we got the
Cleared for
altimeter
takeoff
set.
runway 28 right, Airbus tree 20.
Make sure we have the flat set for takeoff. And we are ready to go. we go. Got a little bit of wind tonight. On the plane to the left. And we are off.
Airbus 320, leaving my airspace frequency change
Okay, we're going to
approved.
put on the autopilot now.
Tower Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray tree 20 frequency change. Chicago approach Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray tree 20 is type Airbus A320 1 miles west of O'Hare, 2,800 feet. Request clearance to transition Bravo airspace.
Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray 320 Chicago approach. Squawk 404
Turn off the air brakes now. Don't need those.
Squawk 404 tree Airbus tree 20.
Airbus 320 radar contact 2 miles northwest of O'Hare, 4,400 feet. Cleared through the Bravo airspace. Maintain own navigation.
Cleared through the Bravo airspace Airbus 320.
Really?
Chicago approach Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray tree 20 3 miles northwest of O'Hare. Request IFR to Grand Rapids, ready to copy.
Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray 320 is cleared to Grand Rapids Airport as filed. Squawk 404
I'm gonna. So we're at Toga
Airbus
speed
Alpha
right
Sierra
now.
X-ray tree 20 cleared to Grand Rapids Airport as filed. Squawk 404 tree.
But when you're on
Airbus
Toga,
320 read
the
back
auto
correct.
thrust
Radar
is set,
contact
but it doesn't work.
7,700 feet. Altimeter 29.85, turn left heading 060, resume on navigation climb and maintain 13,000 feet.
So they want us at 13,000 feet.
Turn left heading 060, proceed on course climb and maintain 13,000 feet Airbus 320.
Airbus 320 contact
Take
Chicago
off the
Center
flaps.
120.35. Good day.
And now they're gonna say
Cessna
us
37 Victor, you're leaving my airspace radar service terminated. Squawk 1200. Frequency change approved.
when we get up to the managed speed of
120.35 for Airbus
250,
320.
then we're going to
Chicago Center
back
Airbus
off on our
Alpha Sierra
throttles.
X-ray 320 is passing 10,000 feet, climbing 13,000 feet.
Airbus
on the
20 Bravo contact Chicago Center on 133.35. Good day.
We're going to back off our throttle.
Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray 320 Chicago Center altimeter 29.85. Continue as planned.
Until this thing up here says thrust up, so we're going to do that right now.
Airbus 20 Bravo. Cessna
There we
80
go.
Golf contact
Now,
Chicago Center on
it's on thrust club.
133.35.
That'll work
Good
with
day.
your auto thrust. So they'll work together now.
Chicago Center, generic November 8111 Quebec is at 800 feet, climbing 12,000 feet. Generic November 8111 Quebec Chicago Center altimeter 29.86. Continue as planned.
Did they give us a runway yet?
One tree 5 Cessna 80
No.
Golf.
Okay. There we go. We're just
Airbus 320
heading over Lake
climb and
Michigan.
maintain 15,000 feet.
There
Climb
we
and maintain 15,000 feet Airbus
go.
320.
Up to 15,000 now.
Chicago Center Airbus Charlie Golf Lima Alpha Echo is at 700 feet, climbing flight level 180.
I'm gonna get rid of some of these lights in here.
Airbus Charlie Golf Lima Alpha Echo Chicago Center altimeter 29.87. Continue as planned.
Over here. Another one on the other side, way over here. Get rid of that one. And we're gonna get rid of these other lights too. To do that, we go over here. And right here. And right there. Now it's much easier to see. So to the screen. So we're over Lake Michigan right now. We have about 98 miles before we hit our next waypoint.
Chicago approach on 125.7. Good day.
Let's set this up here.
Chicago Center, Dodger November 5, Niner 601 is at 900 feet, climbing 3,300 feet. Airbus Lima Alpha Echo contact Chicago Center on 125.1. Good day. Dodger November 5, Niner 601 Chicago Center altimeter 29.90 continue as planned. Generic 555, you are 55 miles north. Descend and maintain 9,000 feet. Expect vectors. Visual runway 20 approach. Going to 125.7 Cessna Yankee Foxtrot Golf. Cessna Niner 5 kilo contact Milwaukee approach on 135.875. Good day. Airbus 320 contact Chicago Center on 127.55.
We're gonna keep our auto thrust on all the way until we land.
Airbus 320. Chicago Center Airbus Alpha Sierra X-Ray 320 15,000 feet.
Airbus Alpha Sierra X-Ray 320 Chicago Center altimeter 29.91 continue as planned.
Change that to 29.91. Okay, 92, back it off 1, there we go. Hit the B button, it'll adjust it automatically. On your keyboard, that is. So right now we are traveling at 320, and that is managed speed because we hit on top of this. Our heading was, we set our heading, so that's managed also. The only thing it's not managed is our altitude, so we hit down on that because we set our altitude manually.
Airbus 320, you are 84 miles southwest. Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect vectors. Visual runway 17 approach.
Alright, no ILS runway tonight.
Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect vectors. Visual runway 17 approach Airbus 320.
Visual runway 17 approach.
Generic 1 treat for contact Chicago Center
So
on
we gotta go in and change our
125.1.
flight plan.
Good day. Cessna 47 Foxtrot.
We're not landing at runway 26 left.
Cessna 68 Sierra traffic is 1 o'clock 3 miles at 4,500 feet Cessna Skyhawk.
So we gotta click on this. We hit arrival, we're gonna change that.
Chicago Center Airbus November
26 left.
3 is passing 11,000 feet, climbing 17,000 feet.
So runway
Generic 07 Lima
17.
traffic is 11 o'clock 4 miles at 4,000 feet Cessna Skyhawk.
RNAV
Report them in sight.
17. That's a non-ILS runway, so it's called RNAV.
Cessna 37 Papa traffic
Or there's
is
also
2
a
o'clock, 4
local
miles at
17.
700 feet generic.
This is the one we
Report
want.
them in sight.
This one is still controlled by the airplane right here, by our navigation system. So that's what we're going to be changing it to.
Cessna
Click
68
on
Sierra
that
has
and
the
click
traffic.
insert. It's going to make an adjustment.
Cessna 57 Bravo
See, the
traffic
plane's
is
going to
9
turn
o'clock,
now
4 miles at
because
700 feet generic.
coming in
Report them in sight.
from a different, we're lining up with a different runway here. So everything is, once you
Cessna
program
37 Papa
that,
have the traffic.
this will take you right down onto the runway just about. Even if it's not an
Chicago Center Cessna
IFR
November 6186
landing,
Alpha is at 700
it'll still
feet,
get you
climbing
pretty
5,000
close.
feet.
This is called a non-precision landing.
Cessna 57 Bravo have the generic in sight.
Alright. Let's see where we're at here. So now we're only about 67 miles before we start turning in for our final approach. And I wanted to show you something else on the screen here. Let me make this bigger so you can see it. this DECEL, that is, you'll see that on your flight screen for all your major airlines. All the big planes have that. And what that is, that tells you it's time to, when you get to there, it's time to get out of cruise speed and get down to what they call
Chicago
green
Center,
dot
Cessna
speed,
November 6
which
Niner
is
76 Papa,
200.
passing 700 feet, climbing 5,000 feet.
Right now we're at 300.
Contact
Which
Chicago
one?
Center on 128
Since we have it set on
5.
managed speed, it's going to happen automatically. It's going to
Cessna
automatically
November
drop it
6
down
Niner,
to 200.
76 Papa, Chicago Center altimeter 29.9 for continue as planned. Airbus 320 contact Chicago Center on 128.
And that's going to happen at about 50 miles.
128.5 Airbus 320. Chicago Center Airbus Alpha Sierra X-Ray 320 15,000 feet.
Airbus Alpha Sierra X-Ray 320 Chicago Center altimeter 29.9 for continue as planned. Chicago Center Cessna November 7847 Foxtrot is passing 4,500 feet, climbing 7,000 feet. Cessna November 7847 Foxtrot Chicago Center altimeter 29.9 for continue as planned.
Now it's good when you're
Chicago Center,
planning a
Cessna
flight
November 7615
to
Romeo,
use
4,000 feet.
some sort of a graph.
Cessna November 7615 Romeo Chicago Center altimeter 29.9
Charts.
for continue as planned.
Navigraph is one, but I don't use that one. You have to have a subscription for that, and I use SkyVector, which is free. All you have to do is sign up for it, create a username and password, and it'll show you the terrain and how high you need to be to clear all the mountains and stuff, just in case you can't, if it's cloudy out or raining or whatever, you won't be able to see it. You need to know how high up you need to be. And you can't always depend on the ATC here to give you an accurate. I've already found that out. I've crashed into a few mountains because ATC had me too low. So, and of course in real life they don't do that, but on this one, you have to be careful.
4 miles to 3,000 feet Cessna Skyhawk. Report them in sight. Airbus 320 descend and maintain 3,000 feet.
Right, time for us to start our descent.
Lima have the Cessna Skyhawk in sight.
Go down to 3,000.
Descend and maintain 3,000 feet Airbus 320.
Or 3, and then hit the down thing to make it
Airbus
active.
320 descend and maintain 2,800 feet.
Descend and maintain 2,800 feet Airbus 320.
Cessna 09er Delta have the traffic.
If you click the outside of this, it'll take it from dropping in thousands to hundreds to 928. There we go. So as you can see, this is a very short flight, but I wanted to go over some of these points and still keep the video from getting too long and
report them in sight.
hopefully keep it informative for you.
Cessna 63 Bravo traffic in sight. Cessna 49er Echo contact approach on 119.8. Good day.
I told you we wouldn't have to, we'll be using auto thrust the rest of the way. That doesn't mean we can't adjust the speed. We'll do this, adjust the speed manually right here. But right now it's on managed speed, but we'll be adjusting it when we get coming in for our final approach. We'll be adjusting it manually down here. We'll set the speed right here, and then the auto thrust will keep it at that speed all the way down to the runway for us.
Chicago Center Cessna November 060 Sierra is at 1,200 feet, climbing 10,000 feet.
And right now the managed speed is dropping down also. It's going to take it a while to drop down to where they want it because we're also trying to lose elevation too. You really can't do both. It's either usually one or the other. So once we get down to where the speed they want us to, then the elevation will drop a lot quicker. And now let's see, we're getting within 40 miles, so we're going to change our screen to cover 40 nautical miles.
Dollar 559er contact Chicago Center on 134.95. Good day. 134.95 for Dollar Tree 2 Sierra.
And now they got us at 250.
Cessna 09er Lima traffic is 12 o'clock 4 miles at 7,000
Now we're
feet
dropping
generic.
faster.
Report them in sight. 134.95 for Dollar 559er. Cessna 09er Lima traffic in sight. Airbus 890 traffic is 11 o'clock 4 miles at 13,000 feet generic. Report them in sight.
Hopefully the elevation will drop down to 2,800 before the managed speed changes, drops down to green dot speed. I was going to show you how to do an ILS landing, but they changed the runway on us, and that runway doesn't have an ILS beacon on it, so we can't use that one. We can't do an ILS. We'll do one on the next flight.
Chicago Center, generic November 229er 88,000 feet. Generic 998 have the traffic.
2,500.
We should be dropping down to, trying to drop down to green dot speed. Managed speed hasn't dropped us yet, so we're going to go ahead and do it on our own here. We're going to drop this down to...
Airbus 320 traffic is 10 o'clock 4 miles at 4,000 feet Cessna Skyhawk. Report them in sight.
Airbus 320 have the Cessna Skyhawk in sight.
We're
Cessna
dropping down
248
to
traffic is 9 o'clock 4 miles at 2,800
200.
feet Airbus A320N.
We're going to start configuring the airplane. We're going to set the speed brake. Speed brake is very useful in landing because when you're dropping elevation, the speed brake helps you from gaining speed when you drop
November
elevation.
4624 Juliet Chicago Center altimeter 29.9 6 continue as planned.
Alright, we're at green dot speed. We're going to set flaps 1.
Cessna 248 traffic in sight.
And we're going to set up auto brakes to
Cessna
medium.
45 Delta traffic is 4 o'clock 4 miles at 10,000 feet Airbus A320N.
One thing to remember when you're coming in for landing and using the auto
Airbus
brake
30
system,
uniform traffic is 1 o'clock 4 miles at 10,000 feet Cessna Skyhawk.
if you use
Report them in
the
sight.
handbrake when you're coming in for landing, that'll automatically shut off the auto brake. See, it's either one or the other. So I would suggest you
Airbus 30 uniform have the Cessna
don't
Skyhawk
try to
in
brake.
sight.
Set your auto brake and let it do the braking for you. It's much more efficient.
Cessna 45 Delta have the traffic. Cessna 45 Delta traffic is 3 o'clock 4 miles at 13,000 feet generic. Report them in sight. Generic Quebec Romeo Tango traffic is 2 o'clock 4 miles at 10,000 feet Cessna Skyhawk. Report them in sight.
Alright, here we go.
Cessna 45 Delta have the traffic. Generic Quebec Romeo Tango traffic in sight.
And one thing that's useful is changing this from arc to navigation when you're coming in for a landing, because then you can, it's easier to see the whole thing, and you can see we're landing at runway 17, so we can
Generic
see,
24 Juliet contact
make
approach
sure that
on
we're coming in
119.8. Good day.
on the right heading there. This makes it a little easier.
119.8 for generic 24 Juliet.
We're gonna change this down to, actually we're gonna, Alright, it's time to drop our speed down a little bit more. This is going to be our final landing speed right here. We're going to drop down to 140, 60, 50, 140. There we go. Alright, so we'll do flaps 2. Lap 3, and full
Airbus 320
flaps.
contact Grand Rapids approach on 124.6. Good day.
124.6 for Airbus
And we should be
320.
on the ground pretty soon.
Airbus 05 Alpha contact Chicago Center on 134.95. Good day.
Don't forget when you get onto the runway and it's time to pull your nose up, make sure you cut back on your throttle so your plane doesn't go skipping down the runway, overshoot the runway, because the auto thrust will keep it at 140 unless you cut back on the throttle. Beautiful night in Milwaukee. Actually, we're not in Milwaukee, we're in Grand Rapids, sorry. I was going to take a flight to Milwaukee, but it was a really, really short flight, and I was afraid I couldn't get all the information in that I wanted to get out to you. So I changed it. Alright, right now, so we're facing 140, and we gotta be at 170 for the runway. see, I think we still gotta put our landing gear down yet. Let's go ahead and pull the landing gear down. Yeah, let me get that landing gear down. If you forget to put the landing gear down coming in, you're gonna get a warning message. Right. Probably about 2 miles before you touch down on the runway. It's going to remind you to put the gear down. Alright, there's the runway up ahead. We're going to have a bit of wind problem here. Wind is at 31 knots right now. At least we got a clear night, which is great coming in when you're not on an eye or less. Coming in on ILS runway, you would click on this LS right here, and that sets up over here, and this would be a diamond. It would start up here when you hit the when you're even with the glide slope, it'll slowly go down, and you want to keep it like right here. So that means you would be coming in perfect. You would be on the glide slope, but we don't have that luxury, so we will just keep an eye out on things. But one thing we do know, we are at, even though the here it shows we're at 2820, we're really at 2000 elevation when you take
Maintain present heading and altitude Airbus 320. Airbus 320 has the runway in sight.
1980, because this is about 1,000
Maintain
feet
present
above
heading
sea
and
level.
altitude. Tower on 135.65 Airbus 320. Grand Rapids Tower Airbus Alpha Sierra X-Ray 320 2 miles north, inbound visual runway 17 approach. Cleared visual runway 17 approach Airbus 320.
Everything's looking good so far. Couldn't ask for a better evening. Okay, so looks like we're about 8 miles out now. So we're going to start a bit of a descent here. I think it's time to give it up on the autopilot. Hit the Z on the keyboard, and we have control of the plane. Our PAPI lights will help us on our elevation up there. You want to have, if they're all 4 of them are white up there, that means you're too high. You should have one or two red lights to go along, and the other two white. So if you don't see any red up there, then you need to start dropping your elevation. So we want to make sure that, okay, our auto brakes are all set up. You don't want to wait until you're on the runway to check that.
Cleared to land runway 17 Airbus 320.
Like some sort of a sports complex off to the left there. This is where your speed brakes come in. You can drop down and your speed brakes will help you from gaining too much speed. Plane looked pretty close to us there.
300. 200. 100. 60, 50, 40, 30, 20.
All right, release.
Retard.
All right, release the. Release the throttle there. When you pull the nose up, it's time to release that throttle so your brakes will kick in. And there we go. It's not too bad. See how the speed brake is all the way down now? Because it was needed. Okay, we'll put our flaps up. And we'll see if we can get off the runway here. Let somebody else come in if they need to. See if ATC will find us a gate to go to. usually the ATC tells us to tune into the Grand Rapids ground, but they didn't tell us this time. So we're gonna request taxi to the gate.
Grand Rapids ground Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray 320 taxi to the gate. Taxiing to gate 5 for via taxiway Echo cross runway 26 left cross runway 35 cross runway 26 left hotel cross runway 17 Charlie Airbus 320.
I know why they switched this to runway 17 because the wind was out of the south. Sure how far we gotta go. Well, it looks like they still got some lights on for us, so. There it is, not too far up there now. Up there on the right, they're waiting for us. To do this outside the plane here, kind of get a better idea where I have to be. There we go. everybody enjoyed this video. Please leave comments if you can, and either likes or dislikes or whatever, and let me know what you think.